Hi, this is day 55 of the Daily Spark questions. This one says, what inner experiences lose intensity when I stop personalizing them? What inner experiences lose intensity when I stop personalizing them? All of them? Okay, so personalizing them, like if I'm having an inner experience, doesn't it like usually feels pretty personal, because I don't limit this idea of personal experiences to just to sensations alone, but something like an inner experience, like interoception is another word for it. It's like the sensing of our internal landscape. Could be sensation, could be feelings. But if I stop personalizing them, well, first of all, how do you stop personalizing them? I think it's easier to do that when they're still just sensations. Because it's like, oh, I'm just like I feel a little constriction or like an anxiety kind of buzziness, maybe, or I could feel expansive things like extreme love that feels very warm in certain places in the body, and an opening or like a melting. I could feel sadness. Sometimes that shows up like in the gut, you know. But when I stop personalizing them, then of course they lose intensity. So to me, I feel like this is like an all. Are there any that lose intensity when I stop personalizing them? Like, to personalize to me means like it means something is wrong with me or something is great with me. It could be anything. It means something about my identity. Like I'm identifying with the sensation or the feeling because it's like I feel like it's wrapped up in my identity sometimes, like especially if there's like you're having a conversation maybe and something gets said, I don't know, that feels like, oh, like you feel like, oh, something doesn't feel good. That feels like, oh, what did I say? What did I do? Or it could be they're saying something about me that doesn't feel good. I feel attacked. Could be anything like that where we feel like we instantly sometimes make it personal. And to me, I feel like the sensations and those feelings are like information. Like our inner like antenna like picked up a signal that, like our threat detection, right? It was like something feels threatening. And sometimes immediately it's like, oh, that's about me. I feel attacked. Like because I don't feel safe. Something like in my nervous system. But if we go into the sensation, a lot of times it's just like we can treat it just like information. Like, oh, my system detected something. What might that be saying? Try to make it more objective versus like so personal. Like, what might that be saying about my environment that says suddenly I don't feel safe? We could keep it in the realm of threat detection and safety because that's what our nervous system's designed to do, instead of constantly identifying with the thing before we have a chance to step back and say, oh, that's new information. What might that be telling me? It's hard, isn't it? So if I do that, then of course it loses intensity. I practice that all the time. Not all the time, but I try, like, to not jump to the reaction, just like, oh, that's information. Okay. I did that yesterday. Oh my God. I did it yesterday. I felt like this, oh, something's wrong. And I was like, I stopped and I'm like, nothing is going on. I was literally here in that other room. And I was like, it was after a treatment. It was nothing about the treatment. It was like, why do I feel something here? And then I realized what it was. And then I was like, oh, I went, I realized that something in my mind, like now that I was out of treatment, something I was like had been ruminating on, like came, like bypassed my mind and like landed back in my body. Like I hadn't like processed it yet, but my body was like, oh, now that we're out of a treatment, let's come back. Now we can be all about you and feel like, continue feeling these uncomfortable feelings so that we can process them. So once I was like, oh, this is information, what might it be telling me? And then my mind came back online to say, that's what it's about. And then yesterday I was like, went home after that and just sat. I was like, I don't want distraction. I just want to feel this fully. I just want to go into it because I don't want it coming back. This is a big one. It was a big one for me. And I was just like, if I distract, I know what's going to happen. It'll just keep coming back. The universe will keep presenting me with the opportunity to process this. That's how I like to think about things. And so I did. I just sat there, felt it fully, went into it. And I was honestly kind of exhausted after that. I was like, God, I just want to go to bed. And it was like 6 p.m. because I had an early end to my day. So I think I was home by 5. So like, I was like, yeah, I just want to go to bed. So I waited for my husband to come home and I was like, hi, bye. You have dinner, right? Okay, good, because I'm not hungry. I'm going to bed. So, yeah, that felt good to me to honor that. Yeah, like first, like backing up, it felt good to be aware of what was happening. It felt good to treat it as information. It felt good to like be with instead of avoid or distract. It felt good after the fact to recognize it, be honest, because this is hard for me to be honest with myself when I feel exhausted because I'm recovering workaholic. So push. So I was like, I could go do 1,000 things right now, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna put myself in that bed, tuck myself in, and sleep as long as I can sleep. Because I've also been waking up at like 2 a.m. every day. So it felt good every step of the way. Now, there might be things I'm missing that I could be doing that aren't even in my awareness. But those are the things in my awareness that have been building into my awareness that, like, these are pieces of a puzzle that help bring me back into embodiment, into coherence, and allow things to integrate. So I was very grateful for all of those awarenesses. The thing that was hard was not personalizing the sensation. In the past, oh man, because this particular experience, I might as well just share it because why not? These are little confessionals. And it's all in like the service of naming a thing. It's all in the service of becoming like encouraging my own vulnerability. It's all in the name of like permissioning other people to do the same if people feel like they need that. Because I know at points in my life I've needed permission slips, like, okay, so that's okay to do that, that sort of thing. Because sometimes I recognize that that's helpful to some people and when they need it. So my situation, I'm going through a lesson learning, and there's a person like, I swear when I say the universe presents us with opportunities, it is no joke, because usually, okay, I went through my whole life seriously thinking like, if something is bothering me, it's probably something I did. Now, that can be taken to the dysfunctional side of the spectrum, which is like, get over yourself. Like, some bad shit happens sometimes. Yeah, don't take it personal. And then, like, but like accountability wise, not a bad way to be, right? Like, there's probably my energy, like, there's probably some reason why this is happening, and on the dysfunctional side, like, that's the functional side, I believe. It would be like, I'm taking accountability and responsibility for the energy I put out there. So what's being reflected back from me from the universe is like a reflection saying, do better, that sort of thing. But then the dysfunctional side would be like making everything personal and making myself too important, and then that's where the humility piece would come in and balance me back to the other side. But so that I just wanted to give a little background about that. My general operation, my MO in the world is like, okay, what did I do to create this? And if I find nothing, then I'm like so confused, first of all. And that's where I am with this particular situation. So what was it? Like over a year ago, like a year and a half ago, I get this text on my Google business number. It comes with the same phone, but I knew it was an incoming, like from somebody who found my number probably online. And so I was like, it came out of the blue. Just like, don't know this person. That's not abnormal. That's why the number's out there. So strangers can find me and inquire about my services. She was asking about shiatsu, because I practice shiatsu. Been trained in it, like official training. So she reaches out, and this whole text just out of the blue. I wish I could find it and like show you. It's just to check my own sanity, but I've done a lot of that, and I've like vacillated between like, am I reading too much into this? This seems kind of bonkers. And it was all about where I felt attacked. That's where that part of me that I've been working on, like, like I'm a people pleaser. I don't want anybody to be mad at me or challenge me or, like, so that's the part I've been working on for a few years, and like consciously working on it. And then so this text comes out of the blue that's like, well, she was this woman in another town, not even in my town. There's no competition. That's what was the bonkers confusing part. Even like the motivation behind this text. What is it? I gotta find out the motivation. I don't know her. I didn't do anything. It was that, and it just came out of the blue, challenging, or like some of it felt like attack, but let's call it challenge. My training in shiatsu, and telling me I shouldn't be practicing it. I'm not fully trained. And then she proceeded to text all in this text, like she's fully trained at so-and-so school, this many hours, and I shouldn't be practicing it unless I've gone through her level of training. And I'm like, where is this coming from? We are in totally different towns, like an hour and a half apart, and that's forever away, right? There's just like, I'm not in any competition with you. So I still couldn't find the motivation behind this text. And yes, she does have more hours of training than I am, but I also have really good training and am qualified to practice it. This whole world of body work is all about ambiguity and training, right? We all seek out the highest level of training that resonates with us. There is like no one standard. In fact, all the different states in the US have different standards. It's a little unregulated, to be honest. It's regulated, but it's not like, it's just different. It's like going to different medical schools. Like they all say you're qualified once you get out. And then I don't know what happens in the medical field, but apparently this woman like wanted to challenge like my training. It didn't make sense to me. It did not make sense at all. And so, but in the moment, oh, my nervous system did something. And it was just a text. I was like, okay, thanks, universe. You're presenting me with an opportunity to like understand maybe where my boundaries are, because I've been working on my boundaries. And because she was like hardcore telling me I'm not good enough. That's what was going on. It was like in my little baby self, like, you're not good enough. I'm better than you. You should not exist. You should not exist at all. Like me putting myself out there to say, I offer this modality for your benefit, is now like that part of me that gets scared to step out and be seen was now like seen and suddenly threatened. And I was like retreating back to my scared child self, because I know where my traumas are. I know where this comes from in me that I've been working on. So that's where the universe is like, oh, here you go. Here's an opportunity to practice your boundaries and your confidence that's been building, and your ability to be seen, your willingness to be seen, your willingness to step out of your comfort zone in service to other people, in service to something greater than you. Here, from the universe, here's your opportunity. So I replied very professionally, of course. Oh my God. Because the last thing I want is any more of that, any more tension to build or add into this crazy situation. And I say crazy because I'm like, I don't get it. It was bonkers. And she just kept going and going and going. And I was like, I kind of said, I don't understand where this is coming from. We're not in competition. Thank you. Goodbye. And then, okay, so she settles down after she sent a few more texts that were just like, and I just didn't respond. I was like, I think I need to disengage, retreat. And so I did. And then finally it just never came back around. But then once in a while over that next month or so, it kept popping up into my awareness. Like something in me still felt like a threat was present. And so I worked on that. And, I'm like, thanks, universe, every time I'd come back, that rumination part of me. And then I haven't thought about it in like a year. Okay, so this week, I get a text. No, I get a voicemail. Yeah, it was a voicemail at the same number, my Google number. And that's not abnormal either. I get voicemails all the time, and then I call them back and understand, like, if it's a good fit, like, then yes, let's schedule a treatment. Well, it's the same woman, but she doesn't know I'm the same person she texted with, challenging a year and a half ago. That was the bonkers part this time around. It was like, does she not remember what's going on? Because she left a voicemail, she wasn't in a text thread that would have that prior history, right? So I'm like, oh, maybe that's why she doesn't recognize that it's the same person, because she's not texting, she's leaving a voicemail. And she's like, hi, I'm so and so, and I'm looking for a therapist in my town for my father, because her father lives here. And then she said something about what she practices and in which town, because she said shiatsu. And then when I looked at the caller ID display, I'm like, that everything's like, all my ringing bells are going off, like the name of her business and the name and then her shiatsu. I was like, this is the same person. And so I went back to my text, but sure enough, it's her. So I'm like, some of those feelings came back instantly. I was like, oh man, I thought I worked on them. I thought I got rid of that. But they weren't as intense. But part of me was fascinated, like, oh, universe, maybe you sense me leveling up. Here's another opportunity to like prove you're worthy, like to cross the threshold or to go to the next, beat the boss and level up on a video game, like I just love thinking about things in that way. It's like, okay, I think I'm ready for this. And so I actually call her back and we have a conversation. And then I did something outside of my comfort zone and I said, hey, by the way, I think you're the same person who sent me a text message about a year a year and a half ago about shiatsu and about your training and all of that. And she sort of like, it kind of put her back, and she like, it was almost like a did not compute moment. And she's like, no, I don't think so. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And so, and it was still friendly, but I did put that out there. Like, you're not going to be that way to me and then come back asking for something. And, like, we're going to address that, right? Because it was so not cool. It was very unprofessional. And honestly, her energy, like the energy you put out, the vibes you put out, man, like I don't want those vibes in my space. Call me catty, but seriously, let's take my like, and it could still be part of my like resistance energy speaking here, but I was like, and like, let's try to like remove that child part of me that felt attacked out of the equation. Okay, I'm trying. That's hard, but I'm trying. And I'm like, honestly, I wouldn't want to be around that energy. I have taken great care to not promote my business so that I grow by word of mouth, because my clients, I deeply trust that they would only refer people who would feel like a good fit. And so far that's held true. It's like a carefully, like, it's not even curated, because I don't have, it's like only by intention is it curated, not by me like, no, I'm not going to work with you. Yes, I'll work with you. Like, I pretty much work with everybody who comes. Now, they may choose to not work with me after that if we're not a good fit, but I've never turned anyone away. Well, that just once, and then I let him back in because there was like an inappropriate moment and it was a teaching moment, and that's a whole thing I did a video on like a year or two ago. We won't go there, but that was the only other time. It was a teaching moment of saying like, you know what, I think we're done. And then like several months go by and it was fine. It was a misunderstanding, miscommunication. So anyway, in this case, I'm like, I tried to set all of that inner child woundedness aside. And I was like, try to think objectively, even though that's like, I don't believe in objective stuff. Like objectivity is like, we can try and get real close, but I feel like there's still a sliver, like everything is personal and relational. So I was like, okay, yeah, she'd be somebody that I don't want to walk through these doors. So unless, and I did think about this, I said, unless there's in some world in my like trauma healing work, not my massage work, but in my trauma healing work, if she wanted to be like the client because she was working on herself, like to become more coherent, less like bad vibey. And then I was like, man, what a judger, me. Like, you would only work with her if you felt like she wanted to change. And I was like, how rude. So I was calling myself out on that. Like, and because all of that is a judgment call from the way I want people to be, it's like, you're not good enough the way you are, and it's like, ew, that felt even grosser to me, that popped into my, like, was in my reasoning somewhere back here, of like, would I want her to walk through my door if it was like for this other type of thing. And then I came back, and that was just a temporary like bridge moment of like taking myself on this journey. And then I was like, actually, no. So I don't want to work with her at all. And then this is where I've landed so far, is like, oh, so the people pleasing part of me and the judging part of me and like all these different parts that I've been working on, like if I get through that, I landed at a very much a like a centered, feeling very grounded, feeling like I defined a boundary, I set the boundary, and then I held to the boundary. And that felt like growth to me from that inner wounded child who just I had no boundaries, very porous boundaries. And so I was like, oh, is this what it's like to grow up? Is to like do that, define, set, hold a boundary? Because we are all so different. I don't have to be for everyone, and not everyone has to be for me, right? And I was like, oh, that feels truer to me than saying like, oh, I'll work with you. We can overcome anything. Yeah, walk through my door. Get your bad vibes all over this place. I'll clean it up after. Like, no. So this may still be just a temporary like touch point before I take off again to get to some other understanding. But that felt very true to me, very good. And so just this morning, in fact, so that was last, where am I in this story? I have time. And if you're still here, hi. So last night felt all the gross feelings, worked on the going into the sensation, all of that, like that had come back to me about our interaction, because she texted me yesterday with like this whole equally bonkers text saying like, oh yeah, maybe it was me about shiatsu. I just wanted to, because now she's in her text thread seeing the history, saying like, I forget the text. I just read it so fast because I was like, well, I don't want to touch it. There's still that part of me. There's the avoidant part that's like, ooh, bad vibes. So even though I know in practice I can be with any vibes, seriously, we all can, right? But I still skimmed it. It was voice to text, so it was even more bonkers, because you know how that happens when we do voice to text, things get weird. And it was like she was kind of saying, oh yeah, yeah, I guess that was me. I just wanted to explain to you my level of training. You know, it's like, but still, why? Out of the blue, I don't know you, and you're not asking for a treatment. So anyway, I'm still confused. And so I was in that processing all last night before I put myself to bed. Wake up this morning, she resends the same text at some point this morning. Like, oh, you haven't responded. Here it is again in case you missed it. That's how I took it, because it's fine. I get busy and I do forget to respond to text sometimes. And so I'm like getting ready this morning, and I don't feel as activated by having to deal with her, because honestly, up until that point, I was just like, just go away. Just leave me alone. You know, like that whole, like, if we're not for each other, bye-bye. And then the accountability part comes in and says, oh, but you haven't voiced that yet. Oh, thanks, universe. Oh, I gotta voice it now. Oh, thanks. Gotcha. I can't just think it and like feel it and wish it to be true, like wish it to happen. I can't like to process it fully means to also take accountability and have like even a little bit of action behind it. Oh, that's how it works. Okay. Got it. So I centered again because there was a little bit of activation in my nervous system. I felt like a little bit of avoidance coming back, like not wanting to deal. But then I was like, the weird part is I'm listening to some podcast, and at that very moment, it's talking about that very thing that I just said, like about when you, it was something about like when you're in the midst of a change, like an energetic shift, and it was about so many things, but I think there were parts that resonated with that moment I was going through of like, you have to act as the person who's in that new energy would act, you know. And it's like, again, thank you, universe. Message clear, received. And so I responded with a text. I wrote it actually really quickly. It was like a flow state sort of thing. It was very professional, and sent it. And in fact, the other thing that had activated me, because on the phone, this is stories all over the place. I'm obviously still processing the remnants of it. So thanks for going with me. The other thing that, you could call this whole story like opportunities to heal, heal your nervous system and your inner child. Universal opportunities from the universe. That's what we'll call it. So what triggered me, what activated my nervous system when she sent the text originally, which is yesterday why I had the what's this all about, was being misunderstood. And I'm just finally naming that. That's something I'll take away and explore further, because I think a big part of me does not like being misunderstood. Do you ever feel that too? Please say you do. Just kidding. I hope you don't. So, like this, especially with when my fear, like to be seen, that comes from childhood trauma, being seen was dangerous. So, to put myself out there, to offer a service, to be seen means like, oh, I want to be seen as a certain way, doing a certain thing for a certain reason, for a certain purpose, perhaps. And I'm trying to get clear on that so the messaging's clear, and that's a longer process for me. But I'm in the midst of that, as like in my intention, my conscious intention this year. And so to be misunderstood feels like a threat. It feels dangerous to my nervous system, because putting myself out there inherently feels a little dangerous, when to be seen has been dangerous. So that's what I'm dealing with this activation. So what had happened was she texted me, because on the original phone call where we're talking the last week, I guess, I said, after I said, oh, I think you're the person who texted me about shiatsu and blah, blah, blah. And then she got all like defensive and like, and then started like getting weird. Like I couldn't follow her train of thought. Honestly, maybe there's like, I don't know what's going on. Can't even presume, but it's just different than any interaction I have on any day. So it's like so confusing to me, because I'm like, what? And she's like, I said, I gave her, I shouldn't have done this, but I do want to help her father and her sister. Like, I want them to get good care in our town. So I referred them to somebody I trust. And I said, I don't think it's a good fit for me. And that's the boundary I held, but I didn't state why I don't think it's a good, I did state why I think it's a good fit, because she was still challenging my training at a massage level, not even a shiatsu, but like the traditional massage level. She was on the phone, voice to voice, challenging my training. I'm like, well, I'm in Illinois. Here's our requirements. She's in Illinois too. And here's what I have, which is above and beyond the standard, like the limits. So I'm like, what else do you say? I said, I only have a few years training. I said, it sounds like this is not a good fit because you're expecting somebody with more years training. I totally understand. I would want my family members to get the highest care also. So I said, and there are other people in my town that have 10 plus years training. I can refer you to somebody. So that's exactly how I said it. And I said, I don't think it's a good fit for XYZ reason, the training. Here's somebody who may be a good fit. And I gave them their number. So the text message back, she said, okay, thanks, blah, blah, blah. We said our goodbyes. Then with the text that came back was like, oh, that person's not taking new clients. And part of me felt bad. I was like, oh, did she sense her bad vibes too? And then she's going to think I only refer bad vibe people to her. Judgy, bad vibes is a judgment. I know. Stop it. So, because I want to be able to refer people to this person in, but she is very busy. So, the real truth is she's probably not taking new clients. Okay, that was a side thought. So, anyway, then when she wrote the text that she's not taking new clients, and she said, the part I felt attacked on, or felt misunderstood on, back to that whole the reason for this side quest, the reason I felt misunderstood and that felt dangerous is because she said, I understand you don't like to work with older clients. That's not what I said at all. It wasn't even in my mind. A lot of my clients are like 80 plus years old, and I love working with older clients. In fact, when I was in massage school and dreaming about like my client base and who I'd work with, I was like, maybe I'll just work in hospice, or maybe I'll just work with retired people and older, like, like that's where my passion is working with people, a lot of people who may have limited mobility and like improving their quality of life in their later years. Like, so to be that deeply misunderstood felt like, oh, it's happening again. What's happening? Okay, nervous system, you got me. So in my reply, my very professional reply this morning, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, she's not taking new clients. And I said, I'd like to take the opportunity to correct a misunderstanding. And I said, I did not say I do not work with older clients. I said, I don't, and I put it in quotes. I said, I don't think this is a good fit. And I said, by the way, a lot of my clients are 80 plus years old, and I didn't say I love working with them. I just left it at that. And I said, I truly wish your father and sister all the best in finding a therapist that they can work with. And I said, have a great week. And then I put a sun emoji, like for optimism and positivity, right? So that was my text. God dang, it's 38 minutes in. I must have needed to get this off my chest. So, but it's all these things that I've been working on. And what I find fascinating is like, and by the way, I haven't gotten a reply text from her. I'm not even like, oh, my legs hurt. I'm not sitting by my phone waiting. I was like, that felt so good to me. My response was very professional, optimistic, and also clarifying a misunderstanding, which feels like reparative, right? Like there's repair work there that I feel was done. Like I'm still holding a boundary. I don't know why I'm laughing. I think because like boundaries have been such a thing for me. So I'm holding firm to a boundary, and I'm repairing that part of me that fears being misunderstood by being very clear, like by repairing it, not just like ruminating on the misunderstanding, So to me, that feels like building an inner a strength. It felt like things got stronger inside, because it wasn't like a, part of me would be like, I honestly don't care what you think, so there's no reason to even reply, right? That could be a stance. That could be also be affirming and strengthening. Like, I'm not going to give you my energy. And believe me, I thought about that. But, or I should say, and I have done that in the past, and it didn't feel reparative in every situation. Like, it almost felt avoidant. And because that's been a part of my history, I have to call myself out on that too and be like, are you being avoidant, disguised as transcendent? Like, I'm not going to give that my energy. It doesn't deserve my energy. No, it's avoidant for me. In other situations for other people, and even other situations for myself, that may not be avoidant. In this particular case, when I questioned it, I'm like, yeah, that feels avoidant. Oh, growth is hard, y'all. And it's never done. So that's, I think, why I wanted to get this off my chest, because it encapsulates so many different things that I've been working on these past few years. And I feel like the farther I go, where I feel like, oh, a new level of peace I've achieved, like by processing old wounds and really integrating things, then the universe goes, oh, you're ready. Here's another one you can work on. I'm like, thank you. So I think that's why I wanted to just let this play, like do a video, like use this as an opportunity, because, oops, I was going to go back to the question. Like, what inner experiences lose intensity when I stop personalizing them? That's like, I feel like maybe that repair work is part of the losing intensity, because what I felt was like, oh, something settled in a way that's like, oh, I do have a voice and I can use it in a way that kind of like affirms myself instead of abandoning myself. Avoiding confrontation is self-abandonment in certain situations. And in my whole life, that's been my MO, my way of operating in the world. Avoid confrontation. That means I'm going to abandon myself in these moments in certain, like, favor of like other people doing what they're going to do, right? At my expense. And that's not all situations. They're just very select ones where I'm like, it's safer to avoid because this feels dangerous. Now, with a text exchange and a voicemail, those aren't literally dangerous, right? Those are opportunities. Like, I'm not going to die. No one's coming after me. So, like, physical threat to my life. So I'm like, okay, so this is an opportunity, even though my nervous system's treating it like life or death, because that's what it does. It's a threat detector. So, like, let's use it as an opportunity to, like, I've defined a boundary, I set it, I held it, and then I voiced it. That's how I held it, is you had to use my voice. And then also be with the after effects. Like, what did it feel like to do all of that? Oh, what's it feel like? Oh, that's new. That feels good. That felt affirming. That felt like an inner strength came back online, sort of thing. Have you ever felt this stuff? If not, like, where do you feel like you want to try it out? Do you have like a boundary that you're like constantly, like, are you constantly abandoning yourself in a certain situation or a certain activation that comes up? Certain situations where you're like, I don't want to do that anymore. Because if you do, then the universe is there to present you with opportunities to practice. I have had that happen so many times this past year as I've been working on stuff that it's like, oh, thanks universe. Yep, this is how it works. You do the healing. It's all in the name of love and grace and compassion. That, like we've talked about, you go into the ick of it, and then right on the other side of going into that ick or the bad feelings, grace comes in and says, you are cloaked in love. That's all that exists. Like that's everything's in the service of love. And now that you've felt the love and you've gotten some healing, here's an opportunity. Try it out. And then other things come online. Like you feel other sensations and go into those. And then other things come online, like that strength, the voice healing, the like, isn't it neat to do this stuff? And that's why I feel like the more we do it, it's no longer scary. It might still feel hard, but there's something else that comes online of like, oh, we can do hard things. And there are like payoffs to doing hard things. It's not like that's the only reason we do it, but it's like a big motivator is like, it's always darkest before the dawn. That sort of payoff. Like, I will live to see another day and the sunrise will be even more glorious. I gotta go. Thanks for going on this journey with me. I'd be curious where this takes you. Bye.